What I'm doing here is a introduction to my third town series. I'm going to call the town Fiddler's Green. The town series will be Let's Play Towns FG for Fiddler's Green. Obviously you can't put in the town anywhere that it is Fiddler's Green. That's a reference to the Land of the Dead and the stop on the road to hell where there's a tavern and fiddlers. Anyway, we're at day 5, month 3, first year. We have 43 people. So we're way light years beyond our last game already. We have 6 heroes. We have Sir Punchwood and Sips. We're both shout outs to people that are, involved in recording stuff, Let's Plays. I think that's Minecraft, and I'm not sure about him. Go to Wiki, Towns, Heroes, and you'll find out the story on them. It's a barbarian, an elven bowman, and a wizard. And he's been with us since the beginning. He's a new addition. He's a new addition. With us since the beginning. I'm not sure on him. I don't think so. He's been around for a little while. Okay, but basically, got just a ton of rooms over here. I'm building this, and I'm going to go up to a second floor at least on this back row here, hopefully. I'm putting a roof on the bakery. I'm hoping that what we'll do is speed up production of all the baked goods. I'm starting walls on the kitchen, which is the meat production, for the same reason. Dining room, hoping they will get their food inside their little guts faster. And let's get back down to the light level. The forge, so that they can pound out this armor a little bit faster. We have an arena that's made properly with the balcony that is not actually a balcony, which is just a spectator zone to watch badger fights. And that has a huge thing to do with the correct way to go about getting happiness. Happiness among your people means more immigrants. Alright. Now, they're on task now, but even so, you'll see some of them have fairly good happiness. And what happiness is they take everything I've been able to find on forums. I've been in rather a lot, especially on happiness, is there's an average of this. And at first it was around 25 to 30%, but recently it seems like a lot more to 60 to 70% as we've gotten more people. So, unfortunately, anytime they do anything, this goes down. So when they're sleeping, if their room's decorated, it could go up. If they're dining and the dining room's decorated, it could go up. But mostly it's a matter of the arena. Also, they used to hang out in the marketplace, but since the arena's been done, they don't so much. But anyway, you can see all these happinesses are basically, not all of them, but most of them are higher than they were in my other world. And we've had some of the usual problems. But what I'm trying to do in this series is get a balanced game between having a successful town, which to me means more townies, okay, and digging out the dungeon. So I've focused a lot more on and here, if they look at what happens is at certain intervals, the townie looks around him on his line of sight. If he sees something that makes him happy, he goes up a happy tick. The bigger that thing is, and I don't know how you make bigger ones unless some people like gold and silver statues. I don't know how much that increases it. Some of those posts get really vague on not on whether it'll increase happiness, but by how much. Okay, so we've got a lot more people than we ever got in the other game. We figured out how to get them on a regular basis, made the appropriate arena. Things are much more organized than they were. Now, we haven't gone as far in the dungeon yet. I just cracked open, and there's a guard room. And I've got a dining room down here, but I haven't got him to bring any food down here, and we're expanding that. But I don't want to spend too much time on all that, but okay, and we just cracked, level 8, so they're down amongst the dire wolves. And most of the video doesn't show a lot of the dungeon because I've really been concentrating on the town. But now that they're into the direwolves, I think it's a lot more intense, and so I'll be showing more of that. But basically, this is the introduction to how we got here. And I just wanted to show you from the get-go, we're far more successful this time. We've got a more balanced game, got a lot more people, cranking out some serious food. Where's food? But there's 76 loaves of bread right now. And some of this was turned down just not a little while ago so I could bump up people again. And I'm still fighting that urge to keep logging in orders. That's the problem. Keep doing build orders. But I've done 41 people in 2 months and 5 days. I don't think is bad. I'm sure there are people doing better, but I don't think that's bad. And the food thing looks like it's going to hold for a long time. So we are way past where I ever got in the other game. I think we've got a successful game. This series is about how I got here and where we go from here. And what's on my mind is to keep on increasing townies and building this up so that uh-oh, I didn't do the sound. Give me just a minute there. I tried to cut this intro a couple of times while I was actually playing, and I just keep drifting off onto different topics that I think are important at the time. It just really doesn't work. You know, I can't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. So anyway, but underground we have, I didn't start with visible iron. We have an iron mine, and it's right underneath our wheat fields where we got lucky on that. There was no way to know until we did it. And it needs to be a lot bigger than it is. Here, that'll turn them on so you can see them. We've got a little tiny copper mine here. And I think over here on level 4, and see, this is a long way from where I want it, but we have a little tiny copper mine here. So we've got all the mines that matter. We've got a coal mine. We've got all the mines that matter. We're cracking open the dungeons, and we're doing a lot better on the townspeople than I have ever done. So I think it's worth watching. I think we've put together. This is a complex game with a difficult. I mean, you can play it and survive for a long time, but I think to really, you know, the goal a lot of people seem to is the sandbox. So there's no specific goal, but the goal a lot of people set themselves is to see how many townies they can get. One of these things in here, and there's a point to this. Alright, this gold statue of Nux, if you look that up on Wiki Towns, that's the username of the first guy that I believe documented he had a village with a town with 200 townies. And I'm not sure if all that's exactly right, but that's what I remember from it. But the first documented 200 townie town. So that's what a lot of people use for their goal. And you might have a goal to build really neat stuff. My goal last time was to get deep in the dungeon, and unfortunately it turned out I sacrificed too much of the game in order to achieve that. And this game, I think we're doing it the other way. And I've said a couple of times, I thought this was a dungeon game with a builder attached. And I think it's a lot more a building game with a dungeon attached to it. And you know, you can treat that any way you want, back and forth. But if you want to get the townies, there's a certain way you really need to play. There's a couple of ways you can fudge, and I'll talk about those in the series. And it's on happiness. It was switching people to soldiers to try to build up happiness, and then back to townies. And it turns out I wasn't the only person to ever think about that. Quite a few people do it. A lot of people look on it as kind of cheating at the game. So you got to decide yourself how you feel about that. The real mechanism isn't easy, I'll tell you that, or the one that was intended by the makers of the game. And you know how that whole intended by the makers thing works out if you've played very many developmental games. This game is still in development, and I'll talk about a few things. I try not to beat dead dogs or anything like that. I'm not here to bitch about the game, but there are things that you go, well, did you have to make that quite that way? So anyway, but basically there's a bunch of videos already made on this, about 9 or 10 at least, and this is there about how we got here. Some of the early videos are very tutorial in nature, because I couldn't just say, well, here's this, and figure that nobody new might be watching my videos. So I did feel it was necessary to explain some things. The titles or the descriptions will tell you when we crack a level of a dungeon or do something that I consider of major importance. But if you know all the fundamentals and want to skip through some of the first videos, feel free. I mean, it's it's your computer. But seriously, some of the first videos are a little bit how-to in nature. In fact, a lot how-to. But after that, it's more just the game. So anyway, I've enjoyed getting here, and this is where we are. And if you want to watch the videos, that's great. But I think I've done a lot better this time around. So anyway, whatever the case, enjoy and take care of yourself, and I'll be around. And these videos, I'm trying to get them up for Thanksgiving weekend, just kind of a personal deadline in case some people have some free time and feel like digesting turkey in front of a Let's Play. Take care of yourselves.